We are Legion.
We are all.
We are one.
We are
Watching. Florida Illuminati.
Hey folks, welcome back to another developer profile. This is Gregg with you as always, and with me today is somebody I have never get to talk to, and I'm so excited to do it today. Is my friend Previn Wong from Tarot Cards. Previn, how are you doing today, buddy?
Good. Never. We talk like once a year at least.
At least once a year, and then we chat all the time on a lot on Twitter and stuff like that too. But it's always a treat to really talk to people. It's so much more pleasant. So how are you doing? Where you're out west, yeah?
Yep. So I'm doing good. We just got more COVID restrictions here in the West Coast. I'm in the Southern California area, not necessarily in LA, but in the outskirts. And yeah, so perfect time for people to start playing some more tarot cards since we've got more lockdowns in our region at least.
There's not much else you can do, and there's usually somebody around in tarot cards looking to do something, doing some melds or something like that. Now you're a younger fella, and were you raised out west, out California way, out there?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, when my family came to America, we started in Illinois, and then after 5 years, we moved to California.
Oh, okay. So, the reason I ask is because there's not much of a history of this type of thing that I wanted to ask you about, and out west in California really wasn't a big thing, but back in the in the 50s and 60s and 70s, there was a big thing about late night horror hosts, and it's something we're seeing kind of a resurgence of now on YouTube. I see a lot of people that are doing this same kind of thing. Is this something that you've seen, that you're familiar with?
I don't know, like the old hosts. I probably started in at least the Illinois area when I first came to America. There was a guy named Son of Sanguli.
Okay.
Yeah, and he came on, I think, literally like right after church on Sundays. So it's like, you go to church and then you watch this guy. Yeah, so here's who I'm familiar with. And then, as a kid, and then after that, Joe Bob Briggs was probably one of the more famous ones. So he's part of other person that I've watched. So it's really like those two.
Well, he's one of the more cerebral too. The more he's actually kind of digs into horror movies and the culture of it and stuff like that. He's really kind of steeped in that. And the early folks, what they're doing was just trying to fill a little bumper in between, commercial and movie and stuff like that. I used to watch that stuff when I was a kid. There was a guy named the Ghoul who was he took the job over from the guy who was Ghoulardi.
Yeah, I've heard of Ghoulardi.
Yeah, Ghoulardi's one of the really famous ones, and he started up in Cleveland. That's where all my folks came out of. So I was really interested in that. And I see that we see some horror movie hosts show up in some of your sets, like Women of Horror and things like that. So it's interesting that that's still a part of the horror culture.
Yeah, definitely. Like last year, I showcased Jen Nagel, who also plays Malvolia.
Right. And she was one of the ones I was thinking of.
Yeah, and she has a YouTube channel, but now like on some of the SoCal Cinema Studios films, like the Angry Asian Murder Hornets, and Ebola Rex, she actually like intros the film.
Oh, nice.
So her little bit.
That's cool. Yeah. That's cool. And then folks like that are always like a big hit at a horror convention too. Like, not that we can have one, but man, you throw a guy like Ghoulardi or the Ghoul on the floor, and they're going to have a line of people that watch their stuff and really want to get into it with them. I've always been really interested in the Ghoul in this, because I used to watch in the 70s, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was literally like somebody set an insane person loose and gave him a TV studio and said, do whatever you want, because that's what the fuck they did. And it turns out it's literally, that's what it was. There was nobody there. They were there. It's the middle of the night and there's literally nobody there. And they just literally did whatever they want. So they're setting off fireworks and all kinds of crazy shit in the studio and getting away with murder and making really funny stuff too. Really stupid stuff. Super no budget. The firecrackers cost more than anything in the show.
Yeah, I mean that that reminded me of like Cannibal Holocaust, because that movie they actually like killed real animals and all that stuff too, So and there's like a huge backlash,
Well,
against that movie.
maybe that's an example of you can do this. Here's the line: Cannibal Holocaust just crosses all the lines. It just tears
like stuff like that. This nowadays, you're done.
So it's been a great year and tarot cards as always. You're doing fantastic stuff. I think it's really interesting that this year, at the beginning of the year, one of your first sets was the Velociraptor set at the very beginning of the year before we went in to quarantine. And that became kind of like almost like this quarantine hit. And you were kind of ahead of the curve there. How was that?
Yeah, I mean, that was crazy. I mean, just when I was talking with Wild Eye about doing that, they said, oh, sure, and then I reached out to the filmmaker. I said, hey, I'm making a set for Wild Eye. Can you hook me up with this? And they're like, sure, And then all of a sudden the movie exploded, and I think on IMDb, it got up as high as like 35, for something that's probably made for like $20,000, so like and it exploded, and I was just as shocked as the filmmakers were, because I saw it, I thought it, it was cheesy, it was funny, it was like it was a good watch, and then but I didn't know it was gonna take off as as much as it did. Yeah, but surprisingly, Brendan Steer, when I email him, he still like responds pretty responsively right now, I would figure his inbox is like flooded,
He seems like a pretty cool dude, and he's pretty chill with his social media. They recently did Velocipaster on one of my favorite podcasts, How Did This Get Made? And he actually like called in. They got in touch with him with questions and stuff, and he was he was blown away that he felt like in awe that his movie was on How Did This Get Made? He was really excited about that.
Yeah. I mean, I think everyone's on pins on needles to see his next film. I think it's like a vampire film in Australia. That's like Brokeback Vampire or something like that, or Outback Vampire.
It was like Outback Werewolf
Dracula,
or
something like that.
It was either Outback Werewolf or Outback Vampire or something like that. It had another funny. Take these two words, stick them together. It's funny, and how do we make that a monster movie? I do not know.
Yeah. So I mean, I think I've seen people hit them up, and and I'm like waiting for it too. I mean, if there's like some Indiegogo thing, I'm jumping on that.
Yeah, one of the folks on our in Tarot Cards, one of the fans there, Thomas Otterman, seems to be really, really involved with backing films with Indiegogo and some of the other backing things.
Yeah.
He's way, way into it.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird because he backs it on a very high level, not just, hey, here's $5,
Right, yeah.
He like names the character. Yeah, he names the character or names something, and it must be a trip because like, he's contributing to these, and then a year later he sees them in tarot cards.
Yeah. And I mean, you can feel that he really takes a lot of ownership in these films. He's really excited when he sees one of them's coming to tarot cards. He's really, like I say, ownership about it because he has literally invested in these things.
Yeah, cool.
And it's cool that that's like a way that they get things done in indie cinema as well. That this is a source. There's probably guys like George Romero like, fuck, man, I could have done that. How could I have done that? You know what I mean? Instead of scrounging around and begging my dentist and stuff like that and having to put him in my movie and shit.
I know. I mean, there's this movie that's in Shudder, but it's in theaters now because it's so popular. It's called Host, and it's basically like 6 girls doing a Zoom meeting, and they're doing a séance, and they basically like call demonic spirit, you know. But yeah,
Actually,
it is getting
Zoom
like
devil.
yeah, it's getting like rave reviews, and it was good. I mean, yeah, I watched it. It's good, you know, but it's like I can't imagine that thing cost that much to make.
No, probably not.
Mm, mm,
But
mm.
that sounds scary. I like that. I like that. I think that's a great thing to tap into. People are so sick of Zoom meetings. And so for somebody's like, okay, well, let's make an evil Zoom meeting and do it that way. It's really something that's clever. And that's what I think is interesting too about indie, terror cinema is that it's so nimble. It can go so quickly into something and just go, like if you can get enough people to laugh with you at it, just go make it right now. Go, go, go.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Mm.
So you've already sneaked one property that we'll be seeing next year, which is I guess Riga, which is the sequel to Rigo, which we saw earlier in the year. Another kaiju giant monster
Mm.
thing, and is it by the same team that did the first one? Because the first one was
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same team. This one's a land creature. So there's gonna be those miniature buildings, miniature tanks being destroyed and all that stuff. So the stills that I got for it, there's a lot more action because the first one, it was water based, so you're not gonna be destroying a lot of stuff in the water.
yeah, some of their sets weren't quite selling the fact that they were supposed to be on a boat a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was some weird stuff. That was a funny movie. That was the one that had those bonefish that were about, I don't know, about yay big, and they would just throw them on somebody. You could tell, and they, oh, it was fun. I love that.
Yeah.
That and a good dummy shot. Give me that.
Yeah. So yeah, behind me there, you can see behind me there's some.
Oh, there's Riga
Some
right
of the,
there. God of
yeah,
monsters.
like, right, yeah. Those are some of the titles that's going to be coming out. They're more so in the first half of the year, first quarter, first half of the year. These are the titles you're going to see. Honestly, I don't have it all set out for the whole year, so I build up probably like a quarter at a time of content. So we have like She Kills, which was the same team. She Kills over here.
Yes, I see that.
Yeah.
What's that? What is that?
By the
Tell me
same
about
team
that.
as House Shark. So you're gonna see some of the same characters that was in House Shark in that. Return to Splatter Farm. There's this film Splatter Farm, which was very popular in the 80s, like shot on video, very indie. So the filmmaker is a pretty famous indie filmmaker. He finally got around to making like a sequel for it, like 20 years later. So excited for that one.
And he's got all the same actors back again.
He
They all
should. I mean, I haven't
like
watched it yet, but
teenagers that get
hopefully he
into it.
does.
That's the crazy thing.
Yeah. There's of course the part one I'm looking forward to, the body bodybuilder in hell, or Japanese Evil Dead.
Yeah, it was like, yeah,
Yeah.
bodybuilder goes to hell or something like
Mm.
that. Is that the one we see on there's one behind you where there's a guy with a head there's a head with a hand attached to it, attached to
Yeah.
his shoulder like a parrot, and that's I was thinking bodybuilder like getting really fit, but this guy looks like he's building bodies like Legos.
Yeah, so I'm definitely looking forward to that one because Evil Dead is one of my favorite films, and from the trailer, it looks like Evil Dead. I mean, there's that cheesy Japanese feel to it, but definitely looks good.
What is the film behind you? The making of something? Is it making of?
Yeah, there's this film called The Ouijas. It's a full moon film.
Oh, okay. I
And
love those. Those are terrible.
yeah. And well, they made this film before it was full moon. um, called Ghoulies, and so Ouijas is supposed to be kind of like a throwback to Ghoulies. You've probably seen the cover of it. It's like this little bald green demonic thing sticking out of the toilet.
Yes, yeah,
You know,
classic image. Great VHS box.
yeah. So this is kind of like a throwback to it. It's by Danny Draven, who
Okay.
did a lot of the Book of the Dead and stuff like that. He shot it live on. He shot this film live on over the web, so you could like see him going through the whole process. So we're just gonna recap some of that, some of the stuff like he goes to the FX lab where you see him make the servo eyes and stuff like that. So we're gonna recap some of that. Already have the Christmas one. It's almost finalized. 13 Slaves till Xmas.
I like that box art or the poster. It looks really cool. It's a cool poster.
Yeah, it's an anthology, so there's several stories in there.
Are there 13?
I don't know if there's 13.
I'm gonna feel ripped off if there's not 13. I'm gonna be pissed. I'm gonna
I
say
would I would assume it's 13.
I would like my Indiegogo money back if there's not a full 13 stories in there.
Yeah, so uh, it's by the well, I mean, it's being distributed by the same people that did The Barn last Thanksgiving. So he said, "Hey, I have 13 slaves to Xmas. Would you be interested?" So I said, "Sure, but can we do it for next Christmas?" So it's looks like going through. I can't confirm if it's completely gone through because he hasn't responded back to me yet on yes and no for that. And there's a couple
So
of
it might
pieces
not be until next Christmas, 2020, Christmas 2021.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
That's a sneak preview. Holy shit.
yeah. Because
Wait.
right now it's in pre-order, so not even it's in
Okay.
manufacturing and pre-order, so it's not even out. And there's already so much Christmas stuff right now going on in the app, and it's just like I don't want to throw any more.
No, you should be tired. You've had a hell of a year and you did an amazing job at Halloween. It was fantastic. Everybody that I know just really enjoyed the hell out of everything that you did. It felt like we laugh all the time at Tops and their cadence bullshit. But you always seem to understand exactly how much we can take. um, and it seemed like this year it was a lot, but it wasn't overwhelming and it was all really fun. Everybody in the community was really way into it. I mean, just absolute internet high five, bro. Great job.
Yeah, I mean, even this Christmas release, I know is a lot. It's like I know I'm kind of stretching people, but when I got the filmmakers for Deadly Xmas, um, one of the actors, her girlfriend plays the Tops apps. Give Me the Wire.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Yeah. They're
Yeah,
in our Discord.
yeah. So she knows all about Tops. So when she, when I found out that one of her boyfriend was in the film, and he quasi plays it too, the Top stuff. They knew exactly what the app was about. I didn't have to explain all this stuff, so he kept giving me signatures upon signatures, so like I'm not gonna refuse. So yeah, so like I know it's a lot, but uh, when you get to showcase the film and when you get to showcase the actors in them, via card and stuff like that, and for their hard work, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So you're still in a contact, and you've got a couple. Feels like 2 to 3 studios that you're mainly working with currently.
Two, yeah, 2 to 3 main studios I work with, and then I have filmmakers themselves that, like for example, Highland Miss,
Mm-hmm.
John. He did Becky, he did other stuff, so I get stuff here and there from him for that.
So really, all we need to do is get everybody in Hollywood and in indie, horror cinema to just play your game, and then they know where to go.
That's the plan, or that's the hope.
Let's just do that.
Yeah.
Let's make that happen.
Yeah. And then what else? I already have the Halloween artist. for next year.
Oh, okay.
She
That was a
does.
question I had about that because we a lot of times you're really all the time you're really constrained by copyright
Right.
and what you can and cannot use. But it seems like this artwork, like from we've seen from Chantel or like what you had this year, we're seeing material that we typically wouldn't be able to get in. Is it because there's that layer of to the artist?
Uh, Pretty much. I mean, I'm just showcasing the artist's work,
Right.
and even that, I try to keep it uh, as public domain as I can. You know, especially in the art. It's like I know the Universal monsters are not public domain,
Right.
but they're probably the closest thing to it. You know, so yeah, that's why I've been sticking to that because I mean, Chantel has some incredible pieces.
Yeah, beautiful. I just unbelievable and super man. I mean, she just bangs stuff out. Have you watched any of her video? I mean, it's
Yeah,
sped up, obviously, but you can see how quickly she's able to work.
yeah, yeah, and even Reina, she has some other nice weapon pieces, that feature like Jason and all these other people, but yeah, I try to keep it, as public domain as possible. That's why I did like the HP Lovecraft
Right. Yeah.
and stuff like that, So yeah, this year's Halloween artist, I actually saw her art in October already, and I was like, oh man, I want her art too. But it's like, Halloween's already going on. So right after Halloween, I reached out to her, and she was okay with it. So um, it's very abstract. So even though it's gonna be more commercial characters of, the art is so abstract that it doesn't even look like uh, what it's supposed to represent.
Right. It's like almost an impressionistic type take on things, kind of like what they do with the Ollie Moss posters for Star Wars, where you'll see a lot of thematic things, and then it clicks together, and oh, okay, I see what I'm looking at there. Um,
Right.
yeah, burying the lead a little bit with the art. That's cool.
Yeah. So, but it's gonna be a big set. So heed the warning now. Save your coins.
I always do try. December's usually a good month for that, and then we'll be heading into a whole new year of tarot cards. I assume that we'll be seeing new base at sometime relatively soon.
Yep. So I drop it at the start of the year. So I have a preview that I can show. But yeah, so the awards, I'm probably going to issue them probably the 30th of December, just so I
Okay,
have
and
it.
so what do we still have for awards this year in base? Is there going to be red, white, and blue award again?
Yep.
Really? So
Red
there's a year award there because I'm going to get like one of those because everybody
one.
I give everybody my base all year for the black
Oh,
belts because it's so hard. So I usually have like two or three of any given base and then a bunch of misties.
yeah. How many are you up to? Do you know?
Oh gosh, I don't know. Not that many. I mean, it's not like Star Wars numbers. It's like 150 or something like that. I had a lot more at one point, but when they come up for black melds, sometimes the temptations because I have three of the blacks now. I keep wanting to meld another one, and I'm like, stop, stop, stop.
Yeah.
So we have red, white, and blue annual or year awards, and then we
Yep.
have
Yep.
the Radiant.
Black.
We still have an award for Fire. We still have an award, and of course the Grand Poobah, which is the Black Award.
Yeah. And the decay.
Oh, that's right, Decay too, which we still have a few more. Oh man, I'm so excited because the next one's got my girl. My Hoard is in that one. She's card number 9 of 9 in that batch by my calculations. So I'm really excited about that. That's the wave that I'll only complete like 2 sets, and then the rest of them will just be all turned into Misties.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. So after that, quickly into the start of New Year, there's going to be the annual Women of Horror. This year, I'm partnering up with Stephen Chang, who runs Women of Darkness.
Hmm.
So you're gonna see basically women of darkness for the women of horror set, if that's not confusing.
I think it'll be. You could say Women of Horror Darkness. I don't know. I think it'll be fine. Just
Mm,
call it Women of Darkness. It'll be great.
mm,
Who's got a problem with that name?
mm.
It sounds great.
Yeah, yeah. And let's see what else. I have the preview.
So you say you have a
Um,
preview of the new base?
how can I share this file?
Just text it to me and I'll insert it right here. Dun, 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 dun. New base. Okay.
Yeah, so it's actually um, anniversary because actually this is gonna be the 5-year base.
Wow, that's
So
right. Gosh, I look back all the time at my old collection and look at my 2017, and I always kick myself in the ass for not doing more and starting earlier, because there's some of that stuff that's so cool, so impossible to get, and so much of it is just gone. I mean, there's cards you had in those early days that, like, literally like regular releases that were like in the 5 to 10 count, and then that's it. That's all there was, and on to the next one. And then if those people are gone, those cards are just toast.
yeah, I mean, I wish I could have gotten like a bigger base to start before I released 2017 because there were some really good sets, that were the ports and the physical.
Hmm. Yeah, like
With, with
the Sin Snap and stuff like that.
yeah, with some of the actors that I've lost touch with, so I'm not gonna make new cards of them unless I get their permission to make autographs going forward, type of
Right.
stuff. So it's like yeah, so yeah, that's
Like
shame.
those early Scream Queen sets were ridiculously great, and had so many really great cards for idiots like me that like scantily clad ladies. Those were some fantastic cards. Those early Scream Queens, and the variants on them and the look of them. I mean, you look at them. I mean, it's classic shit he did there. Really amazing.
Cool. Yeah, yeah, that's always a popular set. So I haven't started this year's. I mean, I have couple couple women already that I know are interested in being part of it, but I haven't um, thought of the design, how many are going to be in that set. So
Yeah, just as long as it pops
mm,
up by next year sometime, everybody will be happy because
yeah,
it's a definitely a favorite.
yeah,
And what was the one? The Blood Edition. That seems to be an annual as well. Typically see Blood Edition almost every year.
yeah, yeah. I didn't do it this past year. Um, Not sure why I did, and I just when I was putting the when I was I mean I had it in the back of my head, but when I was trying to figure out who to put in it, it just the set wasn't just gonna be a good set, you know. I mean I try to not do too much repeats, like right away, maybe like a gap of maybe 2 years or something, then repeat a person. But so when I was looking at stuff, people that I haven't quite um, repeat use, I was like, I'm gonna hold off on Blood Edition. I won't do it for the next year.
What you need in horror cinema is a solid Ray level character that you can just mercilessly reprint and reprint and
Mm,
redo and reuse over and over again, like
yep.
Tops does with Ray.
Yeah. Or like pouty face Rosita in Walking Dead.
Or what's her face in Slam, uh
Bliss.
Bliss, Alexa Bliss. Jesus Christ. Every single thing that I ever try to cross trade for anything to Slam, they immediately go for anything Bliss. It's like,
Yeah.
that's not worth that, dude. What are you doing?
Yeah. So app updates. There's no planned app update right now. Um, the new app that I had to shelve last year, still on hold. A little recap of what the problem is, in case anyone doesn't know, is last year when I set out to make uh, a new version of the app, I started from scratch. I want a whole different experience. I didn't want to just keep the existing app and do stuff with it. So I looked around at different frameworks, and then I came across the one that Facebook and Instagram developers made. So I looked at their framework. Their app runs well. Supports millions of users. So I used that. I decided to use that framework, and they have basically two routes that you can do. You can basically have it where you get to the bare knuckles of things, and then you have to build up the app and compile it and all that stuff yourself. That's what I currently do with my current app. But what that does is makes me like update my MacBook every like 2 years, because Apple makes you update their development software, to keep developing apps. But the Facebook, Instagram developers, they have this managed route where you write your code and then you send it up to the cloud, and they're the ones that keep maintaining all the code that satisfies Apple and Android's needs. And they compile and then they make the app, and then you get it and you submit it to the store. So me as a developer, I'm more focused on just the code instead of keeping up the hardware and and all the stuff that needs to be done. So I coded about 95% of it, and then what it turns out is when I was looking to implement the last part, the in-app purchase, that manage part didn't have that capability. So I was like, "Are you kidding me?" So I looked at the boards, and there's been like thousands of other people that's like raised this up too. I'm like, you guys should have probably put this like on your main page. Don't use this manage if you're looking to like do in-app transactions. So
Wow.
I was like, oh. And so it's been a year. Their little thread thing says they had to basically rewrite their whole back-end building process to support it, which they've already started, they said. So they have a target of 2021 to complete it. Whether that's beginning 2021, and I don't know.
So as it stands, you've got a lot of work invested in this new build, but nothing you can really work with because of the functionality issues that you're having with whoever's on this Facebook design side. So assuming that at some point they're able to resolve those issues, hopefully you'll be able to shovel the work that you've already put into a finished product once they've corrected whatever problems they have. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, once they add the in-app support, then I can add that part into my app, and at that point I should be able to just submit it. I'll test some more, but yeah, I mean that's literally what's missing. I mean, it is feature. I would say it's feature equivalent. I added some extra like blueberries, so I might go back there if I know that they're gonna complete this thing within this year. I might go back there and add in some more additional blueberries that I wanted to do. Like for example, one of the things I wanted to add is when you click on one of the player's avatar, you can have like a little bio in there, so in like your case, Greg, you can put like I Hoard Misty, so
And a vaguely threatening message encouraging them and telling them why they should send Misty to me right now.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the things is maybe to also start the card view a little different, because I know one of the complaints. I mean, the new build will help solve it because the loading a lot better, but one of the complaints is, towards the end of the year, it's like really slow for the card sheet.
Yeah. That sheet gets long, baby. I was going to look at the Christmas presents that just dropped, which are alphabetically the last thing on the sheet.
Yeah.
And I was like, scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll, and sometimes with the drop down, because you can just go right to that set. But even the drop down, the wheel on that one, you got to scroll that one a ways up to get to it. And then it's still takes a while because it feels like it wants to load your whole sheet. And when it gets to that thing at the end, that's when that's going to pop up in that phantom sheet load or whatever. It's wild the way the app behaves sometimes. One of the things I've always would have really liked to have seen, and we haven't got there yet. And you let me go ahead and just ask for something that will piss you off and make your life harder, is to to be able to look at a card and to flip right to the next one, and then the next one, and the
Right.
next one. A lot of times it can be a little handy when you're like looking at, if you're trying to figure out, okay, should I take this trade because is this the one in that set that's annoying everybody and it's shorter count than all the other ones? You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
being able to flip quickly back and forth. The tap thing helps somewhat, being able to tap in the trade. But there's some information in trade sometimes you can't really see, and you have to go out to the sheet to get there and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I haven't forgot. You mentioned that like last year.
Did I?
So
I'm
yeah,
gonna keep bitching about it until I can go from one car to the
yeah,
next, Previn, and then you can go,
yeah,
shut up, Greg. I did it.
yeah, yeah. I haven't forgot that. Yeah, that's actually not too difficult to do. So, I mean, I'll actually throw it out there since I haven't, released this new build. If there's functionality that people want, go ahead and go to the Facebook page, the Tarot Cards Facebook page, and add put it there. I
You
think I
know,
have like a list there.
I'm happy everything works in your app. You know what I mean? Everything does what it's supposed to do. That we don't see days where we have these catastrophic failures where everybody gets 5,000 cards and 25 billion fucking coins, and then you have to shut everything down and spank everybody's hands and take their shit away. That doesn't happen on your app. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, like right after I release, I usually try to check it. So like,
Amazing. And it never
so if it,
feels like you set a timer somewhere in your computer to set something off and then it fucks up and you don't know about it for 6 hours. It feels like you're like very much like, okay, and go.
yeah, yeah. I mean, luckily I only release like once a day, maybe twice sometimes. But yeah. So after I release, I usually try to like hit it again within like 5-10 minutes just to make sure you know everything everything's working. It's not doing what it's doing what it should be doing.
No, you got no technical problems. So don't, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. How about that? We'll keep it like
Mhm.
that. Well, hopefully someday we'll, I remember seeing stuff in the build and there were some differences and stuff like that. And people love change and they hate change too. I think they're always excited about the possibility of change, but they're also dread the annoyance of the learning curve and stuff like that. So yeah, it's kind of a catch-22, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, from what I recall, it was the last build of it looked a bit more like the tops before they went to the Marvel build.
Mm-hmm.
Because I, there was like there's sections in the card view as well too, so you're not just like continuously panning. There's like base section, insert section type of stuff. But yeah, so I check back on the Facebook developers every 2 months, just to see progress. So hopefully they get that in-app purchase in there so that I can finally add that in and wrap
Well,
it
I
up.
mean, your app's never been about the build or the bells and whistles. It's really been about the content and the community, and you deliver on both of those points very consistently. So yeah, you got no problems there. But I think you have what a lot of these other big guys wish they had. Number one, control. I think it feels like a lot of them don't have really any control over what happens in the app. There's so many different people in so many different departments to make everything happen, whereas yours feels like so handmade, so artisan. An artisan card app by Previn Wong. It's fantastic. I really enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have to thank the filmmakers and the distributors for that because, um, I mean, I don't know Tops's model, but they seem like they're very tied, you know, onto what images they can use and all that stuff and what they can do. Because I see like Brandon sometimes on Twitter saying, this was my design, but I got trash,
Right.
So yeah, I mean, like all the distributors I currently work with, they basically give them like free reign to like showcase their stuff.
Well, the stakes are so much lower in your branch of the media there too. Their budgets are much smaller. Their hope of returns is, they all know, pie in the sky. If we get anything, if I get a SAG card out of this, I think a lot of folks are really excited about what's happening in indie film. So it's cool that you found this way to have a synergy with an industry that's so, it's a super organic thing. And we talk about like the crowdfunding and stuff like that. I think that's why that model works so beautifully for independent films, and it makes things that are imaginative and different and off the beaten track and wild able to happen. Things like Velocipaster that almost shouldn't even exist.
Exactly. I mean, this past year, there's a lot of movies and tarot cards that probably shouldn't have existed. In the old studio days.
The parents of all the girls that are in the movies feel the same way. This movie, I'm burning every copy I can get my hands on of this. And we're going to have a real serious talk at Thanksgiving, young lady. I saw you get eaten by that toilet. that one, was it the House Shark movie?
Yeah.
Or which one? I think it was House Shark.
Yep.
Where the girl was like on the toilet and got ate by a shark.
Yep.
What the fuck, man?
Yeah. I mean, I just look at that and I'm like, man, I don't want to clean that up.
That was so gross. Yeah, I mean, just the set itself was disgusting. That whole scene was so just inducing. I didn't like it. I watched a really interesting movie last night. Not really a horror movie, but I don't know. It was interesting. It was called, and I'll be talking about it this week on the show too. Called The Deadlands. You ever heard of this? It's
No, what is it about?
It's a movie from New Zealand, and it's like a Maori. It's almost like a Maori Conan movie, if that makes sense.
Mm-mm.
Oh, it's almost like it feels like the Hyborian age of these barbarian warriors, these Maori tribesmen that are pitted against each other, and they have it's a really interesting movie. It looks like they just go out in the woods and film this movie. In terms of sets and locations, there's nothing, but really interesting use of in New Zealand, the Maori, they do this haka. You know this?
Uh-huh.
They're the martial arts in this, all the fight scenes, they are actually doing these haka movements in the fight. It's like this ritualized combat, and they're using these clubs that look like big ping pong paddles and stuff. It's really strange, really cool, totally different than anything I have ever seen in my life. Really, really weird movie. Check it out, The Deadlands.
Yeah. Where do you see it? Is it streaming?
I was on Amazon Prime.
Okay. So dead.
And I hit it off I just watched something previous and then went right to that. I don't know how this algorithm said you should look at this too, but they were right. It was amazing, really cool shit. So, any other
Crystal not happy with you there.
What's that?
Crystal Parr doesn't like seeing your Amazon watch list there.
Yes. Like, oh, she'll be so impressed that I watched the whole thing. It must be great for you to watch the whole thing. It wasn't great, but it was pretty cool. It was an interesting movie, and it's got like this young guy, young warrior. His whole village gets wiped out by this real bad guy, and he wants to get revenge, but he's a little weakling because he's a little guy, and so he goes and he has to get this demon. He wants to summon this demon to aid him in his quest for revenge. So he finds this guy in this one area, the Deadlands, who's the monster that haunts the Deadlands, and it's this guy, and he's very much almost like the character of Maui in Moana. Very, very similar kind of character up to a point, except when he starts killing dudes with a big fucking club. And he becomes super badass, better than Maui in so many ways. It was really interesting movie, and super bloody and violent. Great stuff. So,
Gotta check it out. I'll definitely check it out.
It's a good one. It was different. You're probably like, I need to cleanse the palate. I've had too much brain-eating zombies this week. I need something different.
Yeah, no, I need something more visceral. It's been too much comedic horror lately. So yeah, and
Well, yeah. Really. I mean, I would like to be scared. I'm tired of being laughing about this and being silly. There's been some movies in the last few years that have been really fucking scary, like Hereditary, and that did you see? It wasn't really scary, but fucking freaked me out. Was Midsummer?
I did not see that one. Honestly, I was okay with Hereditary, so like I kind of skipped Midsummer.
It was scary. Now, I thought Hereditary was pretty scary. Midsummer's not scary, but it's kind of a trip, and it's kind of it's interesting. It's almost like a revenge fantasy. You don't realize till the end that it is. I may have ruined it for people that haven't seen it, but it's kind of a revenge fantasy, kind of interesting thing to watch. So you should check that one out. It's pretty cool. It's beautifully shot. So gorgeously put together. So Previn, I want to thank you so much for your time. I want to thank you so much for your app. I really do. I know you don't take, compliments well, but I seriously just absolutely love what you're doing. You deserve so many accolades for what you do. The community is so absolutely grateful, and thank you to you for everything that you do and every bit of attention that you give to us. We do not deserve you, sir. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Greg, and thanks for the community. App is nothing without the community, and I'm glad that over and over again you guys say Tarot Cards is the best community out there. So I'm very appreciative of that.
I tell people all the time it is, and if you don't agree, fight me. Let's go. Spend a week there, spend a week in any other app, and let me know. Okay, cool. Yeah, I win again. That's how it happens every time. That's great. Well, Previn, I want to thank you again. I'm looking forward to the next wave of Decay Base with my Misty in there and see how many of those I can stack up. And I'm looking forward to everything that's coming in the new year. I want to thank you again for everything, and thank you most of all for your time. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Greg.
Arrivederci.
Adios.
All right.
We are Legion.
We are all.
We are one.
We are
Watching.
Watching.